What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tech in 30, where we introduce the best and brightest when it comes to softwares, products, and services in the trades. Super pumped up to have Karan and Andre here from Trade Runner. They have a very, very intuitive platform when it comes to hiring, exclusively for plumbers and HVAC. Super pumped up to have you guys on. Karan, Andre, please feel free to introduce yourself here.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it, Chris, and glad to be chatting with you again here. Um,
Awesome.
so Trade Runner really is a hiring platform, right? It's specifically for. You should wait. Should I give the intro first,
Up to
or
you,
are
buddy.
you?
Yeah, no sweat.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd
so
say like yourself first, and you do whatever
yeah,
you want, man.
let's
No
do that.
problem.
Yeah, sure. My name is Karan Patel. I am one of the co-founders here at Trade Runner. Um, my previous background was investing in software companies within the field services. So you can imagine, the roofing industry, the plumbing industry, HVAC, and so forth. And, we noticed that hiring was a major challenge across these industries. And so Andre and I, we decided to leave that firm and start this software company. I can
Awesome.
pass it over to Andre here.
Yeah, thanks, Karan, and good to meet you, Chris. Co-founder here at Trade Runner, along with Karan. Actually worked at the same investment firm as Karan a couple years back, where we were working alongside and investing in kind of blue collar focused software companies. And one of the main commonalities that we saw just talking with business owners and customers and everything was that hiring was a big pain point, right? And so it seemed like no company had figured out, the code to hiring. People were struggling to find workers and retain them even when they did find them. And so we figured out, is there a way to digitize the process, right? Is there a way to create a simple software solution that can really help improve the overall hiring process for trade businesses? And so we're starting out focusing on HVAC and plumbing, like you mentioned. And really, our goal is just to provide a digital solution to provide direct access to qualified tradespeople, right? So providing an alternative route to finding these qualified workers rather than the traditional methods. So that's kind of our goal here at Trade Runner, and we're early in our journey, but growing quickly, and it's exciting, man.
Let's go. Yeah, no, love the site. Love what the kind of platform looks right now, guys. I think it's cool just in terms of your guys' story. We get a lot of people on here who, worked in the trades or worked around the trades here. For you guys, like you have really seen it all in terms of like when it comes to softwares in this space. So kind of want to dive into a little bit of that journey there. So obviously you guys worked at a firm with a lot of like investment or consultation for a lot of these software companies working for various industries. Love how niche Trade Runner is, especially just being focused on like HVAC and plumbing for now. And whenever I go to a conference, like Con Expo in Las Vegas, International Builder Show, trading or hiring in the trades right now is absolutely fucked. It always has been. It's just something that has just been a common problem. And every single conference I go to, it's one of the number one keynote speaking is like, how can we improve the hiring process? How can we get more applicants? So I think like what you guys are going after is perfect here. So based off your guys' story, man, like, you're obviously surrounded by a lot of these softwares, a lot of these companies butting up. Like, tell me about like the journey of just like the ideation of Trade Runner. Like, how did you guys start thinking like, oh shit, man, like maybe we should start, doing this ourselves, or this is like a pain point that we constantly see? Can you kind of run me through like the process of the creation of Trade Runner when like that idea kind of sparked while you guys were at that firm there?
Yeah, I can give a little context there real quick, and Karan jump in. But I was talking to a bunch of construction business owners at our prior firm, and I would always ask them about hiring. When they would mention, hiring's our biggest pain point, it's the biggest limiter of our growth. I would ask them, how are you hiring today, right? And so most of them would say either word of mouth, job boards, or Facebook and Craigslist. And so that kind of
Okay.
stuck out immediately to me. I was like, this, it's 2025. This can't really be the most efficient way to be doing things. And they would mention that a lot of times they'd post a job, get 100 or 200 applicants, and be paying someone to go through the applications, and oftentimes they might have only two or three applications out of those 100 that are actually qualified, right? And so not only are they spending money paying someone to review those applications, but they're wasting time as well. And so that was kind of the genesis, at least in my mind, to starting Trade Runner is, can we create a simple software solution that can really improve the efficiency and kind of bypass a lot of that unnecessary friction in the
Cool.
application process, and also just expand the universe, right? So if you're hiring from word of mouth or Facebook, it's a very limited scope of workers that you can choose from. And you're definitely going to be missing out on talent. So that's really kind of how it stuck out in my mind. But Karan, not sure how the journey
Yeah,
went for you.
yeah, no, I think I really my story really resonates with that as well. And when we were doing that research, you'd see all these. news like headlines from like Wall Street Journal and so forth, and everybody's talking about trade shortage. Like, okay, like what is it, what exactly is the industry doing about it? And it seemed like there was little progress being made, and so we decided to just jump in here and try building out a solution that could help the workforce.
Let's go, guys. And how did you guys meet? Like, how did this idea? Obviously, you guys both had these ideas. Like, how did it come together? Or like, okay, Andre, Karan, we're gonna fucking run through this and actually like start our own business here, man. Like, what was that process like?
I want to say we were at a company event. The tipping point is we were at a company event, I think, out here in California. And we would always chat back and forth about starting a business and just different ideas. But I think the tipping point was at a company event, probably over more than a few drinks, deciding to start Trade Runner and kind of just realizing that we were super aligned with the vision. And so I think that's at least in my mind how the story started. But Karan, I don't know if you remember it differently.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, we. I think we like naturally have like this entrepreneurial like vision, and we're like, okay, well, these other founders out there are doing very well, and we could help these guys out and help these industries out, and so why not? We build up some experience in these verticals, and it just seemed natural to us just to jump in and try creating a solution to help this challenge out.
And one
Sweet
thing
guys.
that stands out to me as well, just from a business perspective, especially coming from the side of investing in blue collar businesses, is like we want to operate in a vertical that's, quote unquote, unsexy, right? Like we want something that's niche that people aren't focusing on, like HVAC and plumbing. And so that's really the mindset, at least from my perspective. It's like I don't want to be, in a generic industry competing against big competitors. I want to be in an underserved industry that's niche and nobody's really, paying attention to.
Absolute, guys. No, I think you're like going right after the right industry. Like that's what we're about. Like we only target blue collar, man. Like I find like especially with the pain point of hiring, as I said in the beginning, and as you guys realize, like this is just such a common pain point across all different verticals in blue collar, whether it's construction, excavation, demolition, plumbing, HVAC, especially like HVAC and plumbing, where bigger teams have a high turnover. It's tough to find, not only find talent, but find like good quality talent. So it's sick that you guys kind of came up with this idea and now we're actually putting out like a platform for that. So just based off of like the actual platform, let's talk a little bit about, I guess, like Trade Runner as a platform. Obviously, there's bigger job boards. The guys that we work with, a lot of them do Facebook, Craigslist, Indeed, Monster.com, very general types of job posting, job boards. Like, what's the difference between like Trade Runner being niche as it is compared to like some of the other platforms? Like, what are the benefits of using like Trade Runner?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question. I would say first and foremost is efficiency and time to hire, right? So just going through the workflow of a traditional job board. So you post a job, you sit back, wait a few weeks for applications to roll in. You might get a few hundred. Then you pay someone on your team to sort through the applications. Most of them are, underqualified or not qualified at all. And then you have to reach back out to the applicants with the hopes of, scheduling an interview. That's kind of the typical workflow. The advantage of Trade Runner is we provide a real-time database of skilled workers that companies can sort through, right? So it's proprietary to Trade Runner. We're the ones building it. And the way it works is a company or a hiring manager can log into the system, specify the criteria that they want in their candidate. So everything from like skills to licenses, years of experience, location, etc. We have a whole kind of drop down, which we'll show later on the podcast here, of how a company can do that. But they specify the type of candidate they're looking for, and then they see the top results in our database and can reach out directly, right? So skipping the whole application, the whole resume review process, no job posts involved, just direct outreach to skilled workers when you need them, right? So it basically goes right to the interview stage. So the goal is you find 3 candidates that fit your profile, you reach out, and then the candidates can actually self-schedule an interview within Trade Runner based on your availability as a company. So it really eliminates a lot of friction there, and also opens you up to a larger universe of workers, right? So people are busy working full-time. They might not send an application into your job post, but if we have them in the Trade Runner system, you can reach out directly as a hiring manager or a company.
Cool, guys. And then in terms of like that process, like that sounds like pinned on, and like in terms of building, your first software, you guys have obviously seen softwares in the past, things that have done maybe something similar. Like, how did it go about like actually honing down this process? Like, you're bringing up a lot of great things when it comes to like traditional hiring. like how did you guys go about like the ideation? I guess we kind of talked about that, but like the actual creation of the features in the product there. Like, were you working with different trades companies? I know you guys have connections up in Texas and Houston there in terms of people that you're working on. Like, how was like the process of getting maybe like user testing or like what actually works for these guys? Like, how were those steps? Like, how did you know to like really like streamline the process?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karan, you want to take it?
yeah, sure. It was a very iterative process, as you can imagine, and like I think our V1 of the software, is was not perfect by any means, and I think on a daily basis we're working with our development team to improve features and build features for tradespeople and trade businesses, so that we can provide them like the best solution possible. I think in the beginning, really, it was like the core features of okay, like what does a candidate do when they're applying to a job, and then what does a hiring manager do on their end from the employer side. And it's really like, okay, well, if you think about it, just like intuitively, hiring manager decides to post a job onto like an Indeed or a ZipRecruiter, and they choose, what like the headline of the job is, some descriptions, some benefits, and so forth, and they post a job, and they're waiting for applicants to come in. And then on the tradesperson side, obviously, they are searching for jobs that might be available, that might be better than the job that they already have, or they're just graduating from school and they're, browsing Indeed and ZipRecruiter and so forth. Um, and so we built out features that would address both sides just naturally, and then really that where the IP is in our software is the database. So what was the bottleneck that employers would have when they're trying to hire a candidate? Well, they can't find the candidate. That's like the main issue. So we decided to build out this database of candidates that we have vetted already on from our behalf, and they are responsive, individuals, and they will get back to these employers or that job posting in a relatively fast manner. Now, if they don't, reply immediately, we have like follow up notifications going to their text message to their phone through like text message and so forth. And I think that's where like the biggest challenge is that you need to reduce the amount of time where there is communication from the employer side so that the candidate actually knows that hey, like I'm talking to a real person and this is a real opportunity. So I think that was primarily it. And then Andre, feel free to add some more information there.
No, I think you covered it. I think top of mind for us is simplicity, right? So we are making our whole solution, especially from the tradesperson side, is smartphone friendly. We know most people are using their phones and don't use computers often, and so like we kept simplicity top of mind as we were crafting the solution. Everything from the sign up to how you respond to interview requests from employers to how you actually conduct an interview on your phone. It's all been crafted like with simplicity in mind, and we try to make it as mobile friendly as possible. And so that's just another thing I call it, just because like we're aware that most folks, especially from the candidate side, are going to be using a smartphone and not a computer, and it's a big it's definitely something to keep top of mind for sure.
Absolutely, guys. And I think that's like the key thing too, right? Like from what you were saying there, Karan, like making it very iterative, you're going back and forth with these people. Like version one for, I imagine many softwares for our own company does not look like the final version, right? You get feedback, you see like how it can work. And that's when you really I find like something that's going to actually work for people. So that's sick on that side. The one thing I really like about your guys' platform too is that it's double-sided. It addresses both problems. From like a hiring side for employers, but also too from like tradespeople looking for a job. If this was Tech and 40 or in Tech and 50, we'd dive a lot into the tradespeople side. But for like employers guys here, we're going to do a demo and an overview here in a bit here, but what were like some of those like top features that were maybe missing in V1 or were there, and that you're like, okay, this is actually something that people are really going to use, or it's going to be really beneficial for these contractors? What are like some of those top 3, top 2 highlight features that you find like people are enjoying when it comes to Trade Runner?
I think one thing that comes to mind, at least from my perspective, is candidate searching and filtering. And so we had it in our initial version, but it wasn't optimized to the extent it is today. And so that's like when I'm talking about companies or hiring managers searching Trade Runner's database of skilled workers, that a filter pops up and they can actually search for, candidates that have these skills or these certifications, or, do they have a driver's license, stuff like that, right? And so that's all information that we're collecting in the sign up profile of the tradesperson. And actually kind of goes back to your earlier point of the differences between kind of a generic job board, right? So that information's not being collected anywhere in like
for
an
sure.
Indeed or a
No.
ZipRecruiter, but because we're HVAC and plumbing specific, we're actually collecting those skills in the sign up, and we can then turn around and when an employer is looking to fill an HVAC technician role, go, okay, you're looking for someone with an EPA certification? Great. You can check that in the system. Oh, you're looking for someone with a NATE certification? That's great too, right? So I think that's probably the most valuable feature, at least in my mind, that we've optimized. We have a few others like embedded video, applicant tracking, and some really easy messaging as well that we've built on. But I think the candidate search is the one thing that really makes TradeRunner kind of stand out against different solutions. But Karan, curious to hear your take there as well.
No, I think that's accurate, and even to like dig deeper on that, we're launching a feature in very soon, actually, over the next week or two, where the system will actually just recommend you candidates that will be a good fit for your role. So right now, obviously, there's a candidate search functionality where you're filtering through candidates, but we're going to hyper target candidates that are perfect for a specific role that a employer is posting. And I think with that, like the value proposition is super high because not many other platforms are going to be doing that today. Even in Indeed's like quick, like their applicant sourcing model, it's a lot of the people are unqualified. They don't respond, and it tells them exactly like, hey, like this person has been on Indeed like 4 weeks ago. Okay, like, well, is he going to respond to my like job posting? So, and you wasting a credit on that. So we're trying to like just streamline that process and like really make it as easy as possible for a employer to hire a person.
That's sweet, guys. There, I feel like that's like the power of niching down. Like it would be impossible for a platform like Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Monster.com to like have those types of intakes because like every single industry would be completely different. So the fact that you guys are plumbing and HVAC, you know exactly what these companies need, and you know exactly what to take from your database in order to make that easy match. So I think that's sweet there, guys. When it comes to like even like the the quality of candidates. That's one thing that even our own business struggles with. Like we'll hire people like salespeople, or I'll talk to buddy who have a demolition company, excavation company, and a lot of these guys are just fucking ripping out hundreds of applications to random companies all the single time. So like when I call these people, I'm like, hey, what's up? My name's Chris. You applied for a job at Blue Collar Marketing. What's up? They'll be like, sorry, I've applied to 100 different things. Like I have no idea like what you're talking about, So I think like to your point there too, Karan, about just like the value and like that IP intellectual property is in that database. What you guys are creating in terms of having that master database that can source and like make it so easy for contractors to pull from. Like I think that's sick. And then Andre too for like the filtering, like where people need drivers, people need certain licensing for stuff to happen. Like I think it's going to make things a lot easier than going off of like Indeed and like the savings for that, because hiring is a very expensive, long process, especially if you have to rehire. I think that's money there, guys. Kind of like a follow-up question before we kind of go into the demo here. So obviously focused on HVAC and plumbing. Typically bigger HVAC companies have a lot of turnover because they're constantly either hiring new installers, service people, salespeople, or whatever on that end. If I'm an HVAC company, if I'm a plumbing company, what do I look like that's going to make me a good fit for TradeRunner? Like in terms of company size, revenue, or whatever, like what makes me a good fit for TradeRunner? Like who is your ideal type of candidate in that space?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say any HVAC or plumbing company running 20 or more technicians roughly is going to be a good fit. So the super small mom and pop shop, if you have 2 or 3 technicians, probably not necessarily worth it, for you to target TradeRunner. It can still absolutely work for you, and you can use it for the 1 or 2 people that you hire a year. But generally, it's built for folks who are making multiple hires a year, right? And so I would say, even 15 plus technicians, you're probably starting to get to a point where you're having to make at least 1 or 2 hires a quarter, right? And so that's kind of where we're focusing today, all the way up to the large enterprise people as well.
Fresh guys, awesome guys, sweet. Well, to be honest, I'm excited to see this thing. I want to see the back end of this platform here. Again, we'll focus for this case. Again, we don't have 45, 60 minutes here on like the employer side when it comes to that employer dashboard. Either one of you, feel free to share your screen there. And if you can give us a nice little run through of how this platform works, it makes things easier. That would be fantastic.
Totally. Do you want me to do it, Karan, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, I think that'd be best. I mean,
okay. Well, let me do it here.
this will basically be the first time that we're displaying the platform to the
Hey, there you
public.
go. Let's go. How'd you guys come up with the name Trade Runner too as well? Like, I like the name. It's cool.
Thank you. I think we were just iterating on it. We were like, this is
Yeah.
probably over the drinks, or maybe even it was a conversation after. We were just like
Yeah.
chatting about it, and yeah,
Cool.
came
I
up
like
with
it.
it.
It was yeah. I think we the thing about funny things like in cartoons, and we like thought of
There you
like
go.
Roadrunner bird, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how like, the logo came about, and then the name.
There we go. Money guys. I feel like the best ideas, even for Wes and I, come when you have a few drinks there too as well. That's when the real ideas start flowing, you know?
Absolutely.
Sometimes they flow too much and by the end you haven't really done nothing. But for name stuff, I think that's blessed.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna share my screen now.
Sweet guys.
Give a quick run through. Obviously, I not going to be able to cover every feature, but
For sure.
happy to share just like the core functionality of the platform. And please, if you have any questions, Chris, I'd like just pause. I'll pause and run through it. But this is a dashboard here. This is what it looks like when an employer signs in. Obviously, this is a demo account. Here on the dashboard, we're just summarizing all of the important activity taking place in TradeRunner, right? So qualified candidates that you're interacting with, interview requests that you have sent out to candidates and their status. So some of, sent, viewed, accepted, etc. Interview schedule. So upcoming interviews that you have with candidates, which you can join directly in the platform, especially for a video interview, just by clicking this button here. A section here to summarize the different unread messages you have with candidates. And then we have a little job posting section as well, which I'll cover in a second. Just to start with kind of the most important functionality here, the candidate search, like we talked about earlier, you can access that just by clicking at the top right or just coming to the tab here. This is where you specify the different criteria that you're looking for in a candidate, right? So you filter, you can start with location. So for example, if I'm an HVAC firm in Dallas, I can choose Dallas. Say I want a candidate that is in a location within a 30-mile radius of Dallas. I want someone who speaks English. Maybe I want someone who has at least a trade school's degree or a professional certification. So education level can filter based on that as well. Work availability. I want someone who's working full time. You can even sort by like pay expectation. So that's another data point that we collect as well when the candidate signs up. So for example, if you want to pay someone between $20 to $40 an hour in that role, you can denote that here. Years of experience. Let's say, just for example, I want someone with 0 to 4 years of experience. This is an important section here, the skills and certifications. So we have a full drop-down list of the relevant skills and certifications for HVAC and plumbing that you can choose from. And so this is where the company really drills down into, okay, like what skills do I want my candidate to have? Just for the sake of use, I'll just choose like the top 3 here. But we have about 100 different skills to choose from that are all HVAC and plumbing specific. And same thing with certifications as well, right? So maybe you want someone who has an apprentice plumber license if you're hiring a plumber. Maybe you want someone with an EPA Type 2 license if you're hiring an HVAC technician. And we basically just compiled a list of all the common certifications in the industry as well that for people to choose from. So just for ease of use, I'll choose like an EPA Type 2 license, which is a common license for HVAC technicians. We do have a variety of other filters here as well. So you can filter things like driver's license, weight liftable, standing duration, etc. I definitely would encourage as people, especially early on, as folks like start to use TradeRunner, just be like pretty generous with the filters, because if you start clicking a ton of different filters, it's gonna get narrow pretty quick.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But you'll notice I clicked applied filters, and you now see like a smaller subsection pop up, right? So you see like 80 results here. So these are people that fit these different criteria that I can reach out to directly, right? So I'll just go to a random profile here. For example, this guy's name Adrian. We do anonymize the profile, the contact information, until the candidate actually commits to an interview.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's just to protect candidate information. But you can see their profile here, all the important information. How much can they lift? What their skills are, certifications, where they go to school, etc. And then what you can do here, if you want to invite them to interview, I'm not going to actually invite this candidate, but you can mark them as qualified here. And what that does is it moves them to the qualified candidates tab here,
Cool.
right? So I already have a couple people here. This is my own profile, Andre, which is a good example. But what you can do is you just check their profile here, and I've already invited myself to interview on this profile, but you'll be able to click this button here, invite to interview. And what will happen then is a little pop-up box will come up. Let me see if, okay, yeah, I've already invited both of these people, so the system's not letting me invite, but a little pop-up box will come up, you'll fill it in, and you'll send it. And what will happen is the tradesperson or the candidate will now get a text on their phone. And
Nice.
so it'll say like, John Doe's HVAC or so-and-so's HVAC company would like to invite you to interview for the position. Then they can go into TradeRunner, accept or decline. And once if they accept, an interview will get scheduled, and then they can join right from the platform. So that's kind of the core functionality from start to finish of how are you finding the candidate, how are you sending the interview request, and then once the candidate actually responds, they'll pop up here on the interview request tab. So you'll see like I'm in the sent request here. This is my own profile, but Andre is popping up. I can revoke the interview request if I want to for some reason, or I can send a reminder as well, just by clicking these buttons. This is a demo account, so we have a bunch of people in the past who have like accepted an interview, and once they accept, they'll pop up right here on the dashboard. And
Let's
so
go.
both sides will get reminders leading up to the interview. So the candidate will get text reminders, the hiring manager will get email reminders, and then it can all be done in the system. So all the interviews, the video interview can be done. I'll just show you real quick. It's
For sure.
You click this button, you get taken to this provider called Whereby, which we use for embedded video. But all you have to do is enter your name, and then once you enter your name, click continue, you'll get taken right to the video room.
Let's go, guys. And yeah, I saw it too. You have like, because I was just even thinking when we hire for Indeed, they're like, you have like a messaging inbox too as well on that side. Yep. That's sweet. The filtering is sick, guys. Like you're gonna get some recruiting people getting pissed off at you guys because when you look at like the cost benefit, right? It's like you either take like the time to blast on a whole bunch of platforms and waste a whole bunch of time as like an owner, as like a hiring manager, or you try and hire a recruiting firm and then they're eating 10% or a few dollars every hour for these guys. So that's sick. That's dope. How long did it take in terms of building this platform out, guys, in terms of like timeline? Like you said, you had a couple different versions.
Yeah, we started development, was it like August or September of 2024, Karan?
Cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
so about call it 8 months or 9 months of development to get to this point. Definitely plenty of iterations, and I think from knowing what we know now, if we were starting again from step one, it'd probably take maybe 4 or 5 months just because we know
sure.
the roadblocks to avoid. But it's less than a year, so we're definitely happy with the progress thus far for sure.
Let's go, guys. And then in terms of like the skill selection and the certification, like again, like we work with HVAC guys, electrician guys, but fuck me if I know any of the certifications that you need for a lot of these things. There's just so many. Like, how did it go? Like just finding everything that you need. Was that like an easy thing, just Googling, or were you just keep adding as you're chatting with more guys? Like, how was that process? Like, what skills matter with people? What certifications matter with people? Like, how was that process getting all that information? Because the money's really in the filtering, making it easy to find these guys.
What I did at least was, like you said, Googling, chatting with people, and then also going on to job posts like on Indeed and seeing what skills and certifications they were asking for. Right.
Sweet.
So like if I would go through like hundreds of different job postings on Indeed and see what they are requiring on the job postings. And then if they had anything that we didn't have in our system, we would just add it. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool, guys. And then in terms of like just looking through, there's a couple more questions. Like in terms of like that database. So like if someone's hired from, they've initiated a contract with company, will it then like now pull them out of the database kind of thing so they can't be hired? Or like how does that process work in terms of like, I guess the people in that database there?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. That's exactly right. So obviously we don't want a candidate still showing up on there and they're getting hit up with new interview requests when they already just got a job through TradeRunner like 2 days ago. And so there is a period of a few months where that candidate will not appear anymore
Nice.
to any of the employers. And if the candidate does want, maybe that job didn't work out for them, or it didn't work out with that employer, for instance, it's completely fine. They can message us, and we can put their name back out on the job market. So we can hide their name for a period of a few months. And I think we're really trying to still figure out what the best timeline is there, and once we hear some additional feedback from employers, we'll iterate on that timeline as well.
Let's go, guys. Okay. Sweet, man. Yeah, this looks wicked, guys. I think this is Yeah, this is a cool platform here. And as we're kind of wrapping up, I'm just going to share my screen here just to your guys, your website here. Just want to make sure I pop this up here. For people who are looking to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch? Go through your website, request pricing, and kind of get started today. Is there an email? How do people get started if they hear this with you?
Yeah, there's
Call
a
Andre. Call Andre. That's
if
Hey,
you
there
go
we
to
go.
company drop down, the
Yeah,
company tab at the top and drop down, there should be a contact us.
cool.
So they can send an email, they can call
There we
anytime.
go.
I think one thing to call out for us is we're obviously a smaller team. We're hyper responsive, like 7 days
Let's
a
go.
week, 24/7. Like if you call us or email us Saturday midday, like we'll respond immediately. And so that's one
Right.
thing I think that we have an advantage over other people for is the fact that like we really don't like separate the weekends from the weekday for better or worse. So
Yeah, there
if
you
someone's
go.
reaching out on Saturday or Sunday, like we'll be there, and that's a top priority for us because I think in the industry, from the research we've done, that's a big issue. Is obviously you have the trade shortage and whatnot, but there's just a lack of communication and lack of kind of transparency and people just being responsive, right? And so
Absolutely.
that's one thing that we want to make sure we're hyper targeted on is like when someone reaches out to us, like we will get back to you immediately. So that's just calling that out as well.
Yeah, cool. No, love that, guys. That's one of the biggest things when we first started too. Is like a smaller agency. Is like if there's one way to beat other people, it's like just to be hyper responsive, especially in the world of software. Like that can be like the most frustrating type of communication is to get in hold of these companies, whether you have a support ticket or whether you just want to chat with people. So, love that you have like the email and the phone number up there. Karan, Andre, super pumped up that you guys jumped on the podcast here. If you are an HVAC company, plumbing company in the United States, definitely check out Trade Runner. It is gotraderunner.com. And test it out. Yeah, give it a shot there. And it just seems like a very, very nice way of like streamlining your hiring process. If you're tired of wasting time or spending lots of money with recruiters, I would definitely give them a shot and just check out the platform. The filtering itself seems like a blessing there. So both of you guys, appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much for being a part of the episode here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chris.